3.
Honorable Chair, that's not what I said. It was, the contract was in volumes. So it was a total, which would serve us for maybe a year or so because of the nature of the steel
Yes,
market.
but you are saying
and the
that
contract was 17 million Ghana cedis.
yes.
And so that would have been at that time about 4 million. I don't think, maybe 3
No,
million
don't bring in dollars. We are interrogating cities.
Okay,
so let's
17
stick
million.
with the cities.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
17 million cedis.
Okay. Then there was
But
an initial delivery
there was an initial
valued
delivery up
at
to 8 million.
valued at 8 million Ghana
Yes.
cedis.
And
Okay.
the contractor had been paid 1 million and then 2 million in 2019.
I need the total payment to him.
Total payment is 3 million.
3 million.
Yes.
Leaving 5 million outstanding.
About 5.3 outstanding.
Okay. Now, in respect of the earlier discussions,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned the variation to be in the sum of $500,000, 500,000. Yes. But you were saying that was equivalent to 7 million Ghana cedis. No, but even now, $500,000 cannot be equivalent to 7 million cedis.
No, I'm not saying now. I'm saying that
even then, in fact, that amount would have been far less. $500,000 in 2017 shouldn't be more than $2.5 million Ghana cedis.
Even if it was 8 cedis on a dollar, it would have been 5 million.
You understand me? Even if the rate is $1 to 10 cedis, it would have been 5 million cedis. 500,000, 500,000.
Mr. Chairman, if I may seek your permission, I don't have the documentation of the contract itself here.
Yes, I agree. Unless the variation,
I'll have to look back.
Yeah, I agree with you. Unless the variation is in excess of $1 million. If it's not, then the equivalent increment of about 7 million, which pushed it from the originally from 18 to 26, shouldn't be the case.
Mr. Chairman, I explained that some equipment were taken out, others were put in. So I would need to go back to the invoice. I can't do it on top of
I want to clarify this because of what you said earlier on, that the variation was in terms of about $500,000. If it was more than that, want the committee to
Mr. Chairman, I would need to retract my statement and go back to the books and the contract sum. Because if I continue this way, it may end up in something unpleasant for me. So I believe that I would go back and check on the records and furnish Parliament with the necessary information in 2 weeks, if I'll be permitted.
Okay, my brother will want to come in, but my final supplementary is, if you said, how long did it take you to put in place the internal control structures, internal audit, tender committee, all those things?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Entity Tender Committee, I've explained already, was in August 2017.
Okay.
And
but you had awarded all these contracts before you formed it.
No, there was no board, and I was told that certificates of agency, the machines are broken down.
Okay, I agree.
So
I agree.
But in answer to the question, I just came. We were told to put out the procurement office, so we did so.
Very well.
So that was in 20.
What was the strength of your management team before?
When I went in there?
Yes.
Oh, just about 3 of us.
About 3 of you.
Yes, sir.
So currently,
Okay.
So that's the question.
So we put up the.
So currently, how many directors do you have?
We don't have directors. We have departmental heads.
Okay, how many departmental heads?
We have
Director of Finance.
We have the head of finance and administration. We have the head of technical operation. We have the head of internal audits currently. He came in 2019.
No, just mention.
A head of internal audits. And then we have the senior procurement officer.
Correct.
And then we have the purchasing.
Where are they and you are here alone struggling the way you are struggling?
What are they?
Honorable Chairman.
Who is the one beside you? Chairman, I'm sorry because I can't.
He's the head of
That's the head of
finance and administration.
So where is your procurement director? Where's your
the senior procurement officer has had to go to the Ministry of Lands and what do you call it? Lands and
important committee of the state. Yes. And then the whole world is watching this.
Honorable Chair,
yes.
I understand that the senior procurement officer, the senior procurement officer was not available. Head of technical operation is actually currently at Kempiski attending a SIGA program on my behalf because the Director General insisted that it's a high-level meeting and either me or the head of technical and my board chairman will have to be there. So that is why he is absent. But we have a very lean, he's the same acting head of sales. Due to our position and the fact that we don't have goods last year, we've not had a head of sales since last year, beginning of last year. So head of technical is acting for sales.
So what are these people? Mr. Ezekiel Mensah. Where is he now?
He's working with Apables.
He's with
another cylinder company, Apables Limited.
So he left this company?
Yeah, he's no longer with Ghana Cylinder.
What of Fusheni Adam?
He is at a stores department.
With the company?
With the company.
And what of Mr. Beneza Beku?
He is with the accounts department
now
of the company.
Well, this issue, let's flag it. Let's continue. And then we'll take a decision at the end. So, Vice Chairman will take you from paragraph 771 to 782. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But before I ask my questions, let me make a quick observation. Madam, you are being watched around the country. But just reading these observations, if you look at paragraph 706, it says the board's flagrant disregard for the above quoted provisions of the law resulted in this irregularity. 706. I'm just reading some comments from the auditors, and then I'll make my. Then when you go to 714, it says we further advise the chief executive officer and the accountant to exercise due diligence and intensify their supervision and monitoring over the stores and warehouse offices to ensure that all items purchased were properly received. And it goes on and on. If you look at paragraph 719, it tells you about the accountant's disregard for the provision in the tax laws resulted in this irregularity. You go to paragraph 746, Madam. It says management's indifferent in ensuring that the procurement unit is established in compliance with the procurement law was a cause of this anomaly. 752, it will tell you the chief executive's inadequate knowledge of the procurement law caused the infraction. If you go to paragraph 760, management's ignorance of the provision of the Procurement Act resulted in this anomaly. Madam, these comments sounds like we are running a small mom and pops. Somebody is running a grocery store. This is a state-owned enterprise. This is the cylinder manufacturing company of Ghana. And the way we are running it, it looks like it's somebody's private business that we are doing. Now, let's look at the disposal of assorted furniture and fittings without authority. We dispose of some furniture. And look at some of the items. 3-in-1, we sold it for 10 cedis. Swivel chair, one was for 50 cedis. Another swivel chair, 25 cedis. Look at sofa, 5 of them for 25 Ghana cedis. Television, for 50 Ghana cedis. 3-in-1. Even black and white is more than that. 3-in-1 chair for 10 cedis. Single chair, 3 of them for 15 cedis. Swivel chair, 2 of them for 60 Ghana. Another swivel chair, 1 of them, that was the most expensive, 110. Single chair, 20. Madam, it goes on and on and on.
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you dispose of this with authority? Or why didn't you set up, it says over here, you are supposed to set up a board of survey. Did you do that?
Mr. Chairman, the management, in fact, some of these things, most of these items, when I went into Ghana Cylinder, were actually at the mess. Okay.
Madam, the question is simple.
Yes, a board of
Did
survey.
you set up a board of survey?
Yes, it was set up in collaboration with management. We set up a board of survey. So
when did you set up this board of survey, madam?
The letter was written to state.
Madam.
Yes, sir.
You swore an oath.
Pardon?
Madam. Chief Executive Officer. Hello, madam. I'm referring to you, madam.
Yes, sir.
You swore an oath.
No, this, maybe, I think.
Madam, I'm referring to you, madam.
Permit me to look through because.
What I'm asking you is, do you remember you swore an oath?
I swore an oath and I said.
And you said, madam, I'm asking the questions. Please,
I've just,
please give me the answers. You said you set up a board of survey.
Mr. If I may be permitted to correct, because there's a disposal of machinery, and that is where we set up the board.
Madam, look at paragraph 772. You have a copy of the book.
Okay. Which one is it?
These things I'm talking about, tables and chairs, this is not this is not manufacturing equipment.
Oh, okay. This was okay. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I've cited it.
Did you set up a board of survey?
No, not for the furniture. No.
So then your earlier statement that you set up a board of survey was not right.
No, I'm correcting, Mr. Chairman, because we have another incidence of some disposal of machinery. So my due apologies.
Look at 774. The absence of a board of survey report made it impossible for us to ascertain whether the best method was used in disposing of the furniture and fittings. Madam, this is not a private business. This is a government business. Is that how we treat a government business? My goodness.
Yes.
Now let's go to the next one. 777. No record of tender evaluation panel proceedings. What says you, madam?
Mr. Chairman, I think I would revert to my earlier explanations that due to the prevailing situation and we accepted compliance. And
madam, it's either you know the job or you don't know the job. Why these excuses?
Mr. Chairman, once there was no procurement office, definitely this tender evaluation panel proceedings, I'll plead with I'll plead with the committee and the auditors that we'll be given 2 weeks to go back and yes, because
madam,
we gave.
Madam, you have really exposed this country.
Why?
To a lot of financial losses over here. Where you are varying a contract of $17 million by another 7 million Ghana cedis.
Mr. Chairman, who varied
without any permission, without any authority.
Who varied a contract of
you are disposing of these things without setting up a board of survey, and the only excuse is, oh, when I went there, this and that. Mr. Chairman, I'm done. But this would be a classic case of forensic audit.
It looks like the answers being provided definitely are not satisfactory. But we'll go to the end. Page 178, paragraph 783. Awarding contract without due processes. $2.7 million and 1.3 million Ghana cedis. Auditors says that we noted from the review of the contract files that the company awarded contracts to the Gassman Ventures, Hanzhou Tianlong Steel Cylinder Company Limited, and Guangdong Yingquan Steel Product Limited, Company Limited, for the supply of finished and semi-finished cylinders in 2015 and 2016 financial years in the sum of $2.7 million and 1.3 million Ghana cedis. Though the company wrote and obtained approval from the Public Procurement Authority to use restricted tendering and single source method of procurement, the Chief Executive Officer, Mrs. Elizabeth Yawa Morney, did not constitute evaluation panel to evaluate these contracts as required by law. The CEO also did not seek approval from the ETC, that's Entity Tender Committee, though the values of the contract were above her threshold. The Chief Executive Officer's ignorance of the provisions in procurement law caused the infraction. Now, as a result of the procurement of these contracts was not subjected to proper evaluation scrutiny and appropriate approval. We will not, therefore, establish whether value for money has been achieved in the award of these contracts. We advise that management should strictly adhere to the relevant provisions of the procurement law in award of future contracts, failing which Section 92(1) of the Act, as amended by Section 51A of the Act, shall be enforced against management of the company. Management accepted our recommendations and stated that they will strictly adhere to the relevant provisions of the Act in award of future contracts. Tell us what you've been doing after this recommendation and whether you now go according to the recommendation.
Honorable Chairman, all I can say is that we are complying strictly moving forward from where Ghana Cylinder had found itself in terms of the numerous infractions.
Do you perchance know where Mrs. Elizabeth Yawamoni is now? The former Chief Executive Officer.
We've not made contact for some time now, so I can't tell, sir.
Auditors, can you confirm if they now comply with the law?
Honorable Chair, yes, the subsequent contracts that verified followed the processes. Thank you.
Now, this one was done in 2015, 2016, where she was not there. But in 2017, in 2018, when she was there, the earlier ones that we have looked at also did not follow the procurement process. Now you are confirming that subsequent audits, I believe from 2019, they now comply with the law. Sure. We will take decision on this also in addition to the earlier ones. So let's proceed to the next one, which is paragraph 789.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
That's not true. If I may, I just heard you say that from 2019, the auditors are saying
you followed the procurement law now. That's what they are saying. Paragraph 789, purchases without alternative quotations, 278,752. It's also procurement on a number of items. Some in 2015, some in 2017, some in 2016. But majority were in 2016 and few in 2017 and few in 2015. Now, once you did not have alternative quotations, this will bring about lack of competitiveness, and this could lead to overpricing. So there's a possibility of government losing money. Management has accepted the recommendation, which the auditors say that they are urging the management to strictly comply with the provisions of the law. And then earlier confirmation is that they now comply with the law. So we'll move forward to paragraph 795. And that will be done by Dakwa. She's not here. Taxes not withheld, 89,000. In 2017, there were taxes that were not withheld by the company. Management is recommended to pay the amount involved, which is 89,872 cedis, to the Ghana Revenue Authority immediately, and subsequently recover the amount from the contractor. Have you been able to pay this money to GRA, and have you also recovered the same from the suppliers?
Mr. Chairman, we're owing the supplier. So what we informed with the Auditor General after reconciliation with the supplier was that anytime that we're paying the supplier, we'll deduct this amount. And we wrote to Ghana, the Ghana Revenue Authority in respect of this. So this amount, as we speak currently, is part of the...
Are you saying you are owing the contractor? Is it for this contract or subsequent contracts?
No, not the raw material contracts.
No.
Yeah.
There are a number of payments that you made.
No.
From January 2017 on PV number 400, check number 91. The description of payment is payment for installation of CCTV, razor fencing, and it continues a number of payments. You did not withhold taxes on those payments that you have made. Okay? Now, the contractor is TDK Atlantic Limited. I think it ran across throughout. It means that all these payments that you have made to the contractor, you have made a payment already. You did not withhold the taxes. The auditors are saying, you pay the money to GRA, then demand the money from the contractor. Now you are saying you are owing the contractor.
Yeah.
So when are you going to pay the contractor?
Mr. Chairman, we hope that the situation, not that we hope, but we know that the situation in just a matter of months would improve due to what our Honorable Minister, our hardworking minister, has put in place. So as soon as we're due to pay the contractor, we would deduct the sum and
pay to GRA.
And pay to GRA.
Okay, let's look at the kind of work that the contractor did. The first one is installation of CCTV, razor fencing. That went around. Then payment for office stabilizer and the UPS. Work done at administration block. Payment for renovation of administration block. Rehabilitation of factory and warehousing roofing. We continue to payment for canteen projects, factory extension phase 1, factory extension phase 2. We continue. So one contractor is the one doing all this work for you.
Mr. Chairman,
there is no other company in Ghana or in Tama.
Mr. Chairman, if I may explain.
Go ahead.
We had the leaking roofs and cylinders in the course of work. When it rains, it will pour through the roofing. And they are tried over and across time. So the production manager brought in some masons and other people to do the work. And it wasn't successful. When you come to the warehouse, they had some honeycomb windows. Honorable, can I please explain?
You see, it's very important. The things you tell us are very important. That's why we want to, as much as possible, be brief and be precise.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief and precise.
Exactly. So, one company, just explain why they get the jobs. But now you want to go back into history.
No, Mr. Chairman, it's like having an odd job man. Because there were some things to be done at the production floor in terms of the leaking roof. There was something to be done at the warehouse. Because when you put...
The question is, yes, why is it that it is only this company, TDK?
No. There was the, what do you call it? When they bring the quotations, the... Like different...
Is the only one who is winning the...
Probably because the cost...
his price is low. That is why he's winning in all of them.
Mr. Chairman, the fact is that, and the expertise. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, this may be a bit funny, but the expertise, because he did the production floor excellently. So when it came to the turn of the warehouse, that was...
Honorable members, we have not adjourned. Okay? There are 22 payments that you have made to this company alone.
No,
TDK.
Mr. Chairman, it's because...
Within 2017 alone.
Mr. Chairman, it's because they were in bits and pieces. Because it's like leaking roofs, warehouses, and material were being destroyed by the rain, especially around June, July. And then again, others would come in to do the work, but at the same time, the same problem will recur. So the option was...
That is the point I was saying,
yes,
that this company is very experienced, that is the only one that can solve your company's problems.
Mr. Chairman, these ones were... when I talk of the leaking roofs, these were more on the construction sites, and not in terms of machinery or any other, like, what do you call it, like the cylinder machine that you have to do maintenance.
So the instruction is that,
yes, sir,
make sure you pay this money immediately to Ghana Revenue Authority. When you are going to pay the company for what you owe them, you deduct the money. But
Mr.
are they still working for you, for the company?
No.
So
we cut off all
why are they no more working for you? You don't need their expertise again?
No, Mr. Chairman, currently there's no need, because those issues have been resolved.
Okay.
And then secondly, because of the expansion program, we had to cut off everything that was being done at our end.
Okay.
So that we don't incur the cost of doing things there, and then at the end of the day, you'd be moving...
Because you are moving to a different site.
We'll be moving to a different site.
Good.
It will be
Honorable Angela, did you have any question? It has been resolved, okay? Your question has been answered. Okay, that's fine. Do you have any issue? You don't have any issue. Let's move on.
Chairman, I was I realize that any agency under any ministry that comes, they are normally accompanied by the ministers. And I hear the case, Minister of Energy, we have about 3 deputy ministers there. And so if a minister was unable to come, at least I was expecting one of the ministers here, because looking at the infractions at this entity, it's so enormous that at least the ministries or the minister need to be in the know to know how far the company is faring. The company that I put under his ministry is faring. And here is the case, there's nobody here. That's my observation.
I've taken note of that. And at the end, we'll handle it. Now, the directive that you pay the 89,872 Ghana cedis, 48 pesos, to GRA should be done within 2 weeks, just like the earlier one, for which you requested for 2 weeks, 14 days.
Thank you,
so
Mr. Chairman.
let's move to the next one, which is paragraph 801, and that will be done by Roxanne. Paragraph 801 to 822. No, 809, sorry.
Very well. Chairman, thank
it's
you.
actually paragraph 801. Okay, let me do that one. You will do paragraph 810 to 22.
Very well.
Now, payment for works without supporting document. I think your place is very rotten. It's rotten. Don't you think so? You have made payments without supporting document to the tune of 1.6 million Ghana cedis. Why? Don't you have accountants there? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that when you go through the status, at the time of the documents were available to the auditors for verification, but we were given 30 days to respond to the audit management letter. What happened was that before the management letter got to the Auditor General's department, the publication had already been made. So it would look like some of the things are moot. But we provided the documents for their verification.
Auditors, can you confirm that they now have the supporting document for this company? Because it's the same company, TDK Atlantic Limited. Do they have the supporting document down to cover the amount?
Honorable Chair, yes. When we pursue for their response, and then we had the document verified.
Madam, who are the directors of TDK Atlantic Limited?
Oh, Mr. Frank Ochre.
Is the only director?
No.
But so I ask you, who are the directors?
I'll need to get back to look at the profile. No,
but you remember Mr. Frank Ochre?
No, because he is the managing director of the company. It's not a sole proprietor firm. It's a limited liability company. So when we deal with people, the profile is brought. Everything is a procurement. And I'm talking of the procurement office. So we can provide the documents which we provided to them for your verification.
Okay. Let us have the directors of the company.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I see where you're going.
Who are the members that constitute the management team of the company? The chief executive officer, yourself. Do you have deputies? You don't have, use the mic, please. You don't have deputies?
I don't have a deputy.
So who are the team, the management team?
The management team consists of myself, my head of technical operation,
okay,
my head of finance and admin, the internal auditor, And that management team and the head of sales and acting head of sales.
Okay.
We used to have, and okay.
Go ahead.
I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
You are done. That's the management team. So why are you here with only the? Is it the head of accounts?
Yes.
Finance. Why is he here with only the head of finance?
Mr. Chairman, I think I explained earlier on.
Okay. Pardon me. Can you explain to me again?
Well, Mr. Chairman, my head of technical operation is actually at a technical meeting with SIGA.
Okay.
Yeah, I explained that.
Okay.
With my board chairman.
Okay.
And we don't have a sales head as at now because of the rundown situation and the need to, you know, pay somebody for when there's actually not when much is not going on.
So how many of you are there as members of management team? Yourself, the head of finance, the head of technical.
Internal audit. We are about 4.
4. Wow.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to paragraph 810 to 822. That will be done by Honorable Roxanne.
Chairman, thank you. Sorry. It's a continuation of the problems. Now, paragraph 810. 810. The infraction that. Yes, I will. Now, the infraction the auditors have flagged in this matter is the fact that you don't have a contract register.
Which matter?
Contrary to our laws. And I want to ask Director of Finance why this is the case. Yes, I don't want to worry, madam.
Thank you very much. So please, we currently have the contract register with all the various contracts listed in that document. So we have it now, and it's been made available to the auditors.
When did you do this?
In 2018, immediately the auditors came and identified that such a document was in there. So per their recommendation, we put together such a document. So since then, we have it.
Now, auditors, how do you respond to this? Have you cited this?
Honorable Chair, yes, they have the contract register now.
Chairman, the next infraction is to the effect that you also don't have an asset and inventory register, and that is very serious. Contrary to Section 52. 3 subclause A and B of the PFM Act, you ought to have a register of that nature. And I intentionally raised the one of contract. So, what is the situation now? Finance.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. So, please, we also have those 2 documents now. So we have the contract, the asset register, and also the inventory registers. So in various aspects of the company, if you get to especially the door, you see an inventory register that gives accounts of all assets within that particular setting. So we have those 2 documents now, and they've been verified by the auditors.
Auditors, can you confirm this?
Honorable Chair, yes, they have the assets and inventory registers.
When was this done?
Honorable Chair, in fact, most of the infractions were rectified after the audit. And so this one too was rectified after the audit.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm worried particularly because this is an audit in respect of 2018, reported sometime in July 2019, and so for me, if within that period they had put their house in order, then they ought not to reflect in the report as such, unless of course between members chairman, between the time of your exit conference and when they had a 1 month period within which to react to the issues you have raised, they did not comply and complied at their own time and convenience.
No.
But if they did comply, then I think as much as possible they don't have to reflect in the report like that, because it's a tall litany of issues. If they had complied with some, I think that we should have taken them out.
Honorable Chair, we followed the responses, and which came late after we had already compiled the report. And so we followed their response afterwards. And they had this information in the document. Thank you.
Chairman, the next infraction is the purchase and use of software without approval from the Auditor General, and which is also a very serious infraction. So, Chairman, so I'm exceeding my mandate. I thank you, but considering that I proceeded, may I give me the permission to complete that. Now, the recommendation of the auditors is for you to comply. So I want to find out if you had written to them for ratification, and if so, auditors, if you can confirm this. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the assets register was January 2019. Immediately after the audit management letter, we complied. That's why I indicated earlier that the publication was before our responses, which were on time. I would want that impression corrected. On what you asked right now, we actually, 2019 January, we actually had to write severally to the Auditor General 4th September 2018 for the compliance of the recommendation. So, for the approval, So a team was sent. And we were written to. They came, and then came to do it accordingly, and then the verification was done. So I appeal to the committee that the delay really didn't come from our side.
Auditors, do you have been indicted?
No, I'm not indicting them, Mr. Chairman.
No, that's all you are doing.
No, it took the team. It took time.
No. Hold on. You have been flagged for an infraction, and we are blaming you. So if you had complied and you have notified them within time, then they were obligated to clear you. That's the way the system works. If they don't clear you, you are here. That's why you are here. You have not been cleared. So it's important that we find out from the auditors why, even though you complied with the 30-day window, they still are citing you in the report. Because it's not pleasant to be cited in the report. Auditors.
Honorable Chair, we have to make the responses available to the committee so that we know the date that the responses came. Thank you. Then the second one, really our IT session went to
install the tally for them.
Yes, to verify the installation
and install it for them. Chairman, that will be all. Thank you.
So it means that it has been approved for them to use the software.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let's look at our paragraph 828, improper maintenance of vehicle logbook. Now, do we have logbooks now?
Yes, please, we have logbooks now.
But how come you didn't have it earlier?
Mr. Honorable Chair, it's probably was an oversight, and so after the audit, we then put all those mechanisms in place. So we have the logs now.
Auditors, are they maintaining vehicle logbooks?
Honorable Chair, yes, they are maintaining logbooks now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. But before I go, do you have a transport officer?
Mr. Chairman, the administration department is in charge of transports, and there's what we call a chief driver who liaises with them to carry out the transport needs of the company. No, I'm saying that the chief driver liaises with them. Who paid?
We just yes or no answer. So I want you to give me a yes or no answer. Do you have a transport officer?
Currently, we don't.
Thank you.
Let's move on to eight. A36. That will be done by Honorable Tufelo.
Chairman, thank you. Chairman, the question is on the audit committee, and then there's also an infraction on the internal audit unit. If there is no one, there will not be the other. So there must be existence of internal audit unit to form the basis for the committee to be placed. There was not even an audit unit according to the auditors. So there will not be, if there's no audit department, there will not be audit committee. In answer to earlier questions, she alluded to the fact that the place was not in good shape and they didn't have systems, including audit department. Is that right? You answered.
Yes,
so yes or no, please, so that we can.
Yes, yes, no.
So if that is the case, then the second finding is mute. If there's no audit unit, there will not be audit committee. Or auditors, can you help me get a good question out of this?
Thank you, Chairman. The two are distinct. The audit committee is a subcommittee of the board, and the internal audit function is an integral part of the operations of the enterprise. Thank you.
Very well. CEO. So you didn't have audit department, and there was no even the board failed to also constitute audit committee.
Honorable Chair, when the board came in,
do you not have audit committee?
Yes, we have an audit committee. We have the internal auditor too.
When was the board, the audit committee formed?
2018, early. Okay, it was formed 27th March 2019.
By who?
By the Internal Audit Agency.
So can you let us have the membership?
The Mrs. Auntie C. Miss Ernestina Janite, Mr. Erasmus Amwako. The two represent Internal Audit Agency. Then we have the Institute of Chartered Accountants.
What's her name?
She's the chairperson, Madam Issy Kesson. And then we have two board members. Currently, Mr. Bradley Opokwa-Mankwa.
So they are in place now.
And Honorable Adelaide Tim.
Are they working?
Yes, they are working, sir.
Okay.
And
so how's the audit department of the company now?
It's functioning extremely well, and that is why.
How many staff?
The audit department. There's the seconded internal auditor.
From which ministry?
The Ministry of Works and Housing. No, is it roads?
Energy.
No, Ministry of Roads and Highways. We wrote to the Auditor General, and the ministry actually wrote.
So what other staff are there?
There's
so how many are they?
There are two with a national service personnel assisting them. There's a senior officer.
So do you give them work to do?
Yeah, there's a lot of work. That's what has led to the compliance.
So for 2021, how many internal audit reports have they issued?
2021, we have the half-year reports. In fact, we do quarterly audits and procurement reports.
So if you go to find out their quarterly reports available for the board review,
yes,
they will be there.
They are available.
Auditors, we need this kind of report. And so the chairman will certify himself that there is now functional audit department at the company and that the audit committee has work to do. We will need that information so that at the president, I will personally need this information. I will say it for the whole world to hear. So give me that information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There's now functional audit department at the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company who are working very well, as the CEO reported, and that there's more work for the audit committee to do at that company. I want to say it on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to reiterate that we have what we call the audit report, which is sent to various government agencies, including the presidency, the Auditor General. And we have had us up to date up till 2020. 21 is yet to come. We have the audit committee reports, but we have the half-year audit, internal audit reports, and then we have an annual audit report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How does the internal audit constituted at your place? What's the mechanism or processes through which the audit board is constituted? Sorry, yes, the audit committee, is constituted.
Mr. Chairman, there was a request from the Chief Director, Minister of Energy, we made a request to the Chief Director for the constitution of the Audit Committee, signed by my good self. Then the Chief Director in turn related to the Internal Audit Agency. So the Internal Agency wrote to GCMC on 27 March 2019 to inform us of the constitution or the nomination of its representation as Ms. Ernestina Ojanite and Mr. Erasmus Amwako, according to the regulation or the act. Then we had the Institute of Chartered Accountants writing to us on 11th March 2019, also on Issy Kesson from their institute as their representative. Then this Institute of Chartered Accountants. Then the board also gave us two nominees in the person of Honorable Adelaide Tim, who is a board member, and Honorable Bradley Opokwa-Mankwa, a board member. And when the audit committee met, they chose their chairperson. And then the secretary to the audit committee was also inaugurated alongside the audit committee. Then they co-opted myself, the head of finance and admin, and the internal auditor. The three of us are co-opted members to the committee.
So let's move to paragraph 849 to 861. Honorable Samson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. CEO, my issue, I think there are two. But building from what my colleague, the questions he asked about the non-existence of the internal audit and audit committee, I think the absence of administration policy, I think these issues, I know now they are now in place. So I don't want to waste more time on that. Can you confirm that your organization now have administrative policies, that is policies in terms of procedures, risk management and all that? Do you have those documents in place?
Pardon me, sir.
The auditors listed so many, about 6 policies that were non-existent in your organization. Human resource policy, collective bargaining agreement, scheme of service, accounting manuals, IT policies, and risk management. I'm saying that based on the understanding I got from my colleague, your answers given that your board and audit committees are now in place. Do I assume that, or can you confirm that these policies are now in place?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We have the human resource policy, collective bargaining, scheme of service, accounting manual, IT policy, risk management policy, sales policy, and a host of other policies in place.
This is just because, according to the auditors, their recommendation was that you accepted and then you were supposed to put it in place within a particular period of time. Okay, then let's go to auditors. Can you confirm that?
Honorable Chair, yes, those policies are there. Thank you.
Then let's go to 855. This one, I think the infraction is to the Chief Executive Officer. I think you were indicted on spending with that budget. And auditors observed that.
855.
855. Financial transactions for the period without budget guidelines. And that the Chief Executive Officer and the governing board was the cause of the irregularity. So the recommendation was that management accepted a recommendation and stated that they will prepare their budget. Can you just give a brief history about this? What really happened?
Honorable Chairman, despite the notation, there was budget 2016, which I came to meet. And then there was a budget for 2017, which had already been prepared in the previous year, which I came to meet. And then there was a budget, supplementary budget for 2017, which was approved by the board on 21st December 2017. But with due permission, this is not to indict the Auditor General in any way, but I believe that maybe some lack of communication must have led to the publication without the requisite document. But we provided it for their perusal and verification. I came to meet 2 budgets, 2016, 2017.
Auditors. Yeah, the auditors are here, so let me throw it to them. No, he said he's not indicting them. Auditors, what do you have to say about this?
Their recommendation was accepting, their response was accepting the recommendations and then prepare and submit the budget for approval by the board. So at that time, they were not having the budget, but subsequently they do prepare the budget. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I seek to correct, not to contradict them, but to correct. 2016, I wasn't there, but I came to meet a budget. 2017, I took over in May, but there was a budget which I came to meet. And we didn't prepare 2016 and 17 budgets. We rather provided them for the verification of the Ghana Audit Service. Yes. I came to meet the budgets.
That's fine. Okay. Chairman, we are in your hands.
Do you submit your Minister of Finance? Use your mic.
Mr. Chairman, please, we do it through the State Interest and Governance Authority, the State Enterprises Commission.
Okay.
We also submit to the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Finance itself as well.
Okay.
These are reporting sources. Honorable Chair, if I may add, because we are an internally generated funded company, so normally we are not in the omnibus.
You are not under subvention.
No, we are not.
So, just wanted to find out if the PFMA require that. If the PFMA require that, you should submit this to. Okay, I've taken note of that. So let's move on to. Yes.
Chairman, in your response, you indicated that when you came, you met a budget, and you worked with that budget. Yes, so I presume that the 2016-2017 budget, isn't it?
Yeah, 2017 budget. I worked with.
The projects you executed, were they captured in the budget?
2017.
Yes.
They were captured in the supplementary budget.
So all the projects you executed were in the budget?
Were captured in the supplementary budget and ratified.
Supplementary budget?
Yeah, you know, I took over in May.
Okay.
And so by June, we needed to have a budget review, Honorable Chairman. So after that, the board came into being in October, September, October. And so at one of the meetings in the last quarter, they approved
the supplementary budget.
Yes, yes.
So those projects you executed were captured in the supplementary budget. Okay, thank you.
No, but the report, paragraph 857 says that we noted that management did not submit its 2016 and 2017 budget to the Minister of Finance as required by the above quote. Above quoted PFM Act, which was quoted earlier on that section 25(4) of the Act. Then it went on to say that the company's governing board even approved only the supplementary budget for 2017 on 21st December 2017. This indicates that the financial transactions for the period were executed without budget guidelines. So the budget for 2017 was approved by the board on 21st December 2017. Is that right?
Mr. Chairman, the supplementary budget is what I know of that was approved.
Yeah, I'm also referring to the supplementary budget.
Yeah, the supplementary budget, because there was no board in place. So when the board was inducted into office in October 2017, at their meeting, that was done at the ministry, but when they held their meeting at the premises of the company, a regular board meeting, then they ratified and approved the supplementary budgets.
So the approval on 21st December was as a result of the absence of the board. That is why they didn't approve it earlier.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So the auditors say that you did not submit the 2017 budget, but you said you came to meet the 2017 budget.
Yeah, I'm saying that for the submission, I would not contradict them. That's why it's earlier stated that I will not contradict them.
Why didn't you submit it to them?
No, because I didn't prepare the main 2017 budget.
But you work with it?
No, I came to meet a budget.
Did you work with that budget?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. But
why didn't you submit it to the auditor?
No, Mr. Chairman, presumably it may have been submitted already because it was handed over to me.
So when the auditors came, you don't see the need to give them the budget?
Mr. Chairman, please, the auditors came in 2018 and we submitted everything to them.
No, but they are saying that you did not submit it. We noted that management did not submit its 2016 and 2017 budgets.
Is it to the auditors or to the Minister of Finance?
To the Minister of Finance.
So
your position that you submitted to the auditors?
To the auditors.
Okay.
Yes.
Which of the projects, I asked you, whether the projects you executed were in the budget? And you said that yes, they were in the supplementary budget. Are you telling this committee that all the projects you executed, none was found in the previous budget that was not presented? The original budget is.
Mr. Chairman, the original budget had a procurement of cylinders and other things. So I would have to go back to the budget to be able to furnish the committee because I did not prepare that budget.
Mr. Chairman, I asked you a specific question. I asked you whether all the projects you executed were in the budget, and you said yes. And I wanted to know
supplementary budget.
So you are telling this committee that all the projects you executed were found only in the supplementary budget?
No, I cannot say that as a matter of fact.
So you did some in the old budget.
Some were from the old budget.
So old budget, which the original budget, the original budget which the auditors claim was not presented to them.
Mr. Chairman, I'm saying I came to meet the original
to the
budget.
Minister of Finance. I mean, yes.
And I've agreed with them on that score.
So why would you execute projects in a budget which was not presented to the Minister of Finance for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I'll need to refer to the 2017 mainstream budget before that question can be answered.
Which one is the mainstream budget? Is it the...
That's the budget that had been prepared.
Mr. Chairman, maybe you have to take it. Frankly speaking, I don't get the drift.
No, the budget that I came to meet, I would have to go back to it and look through what we had executed out of it.
Do you know one bright Ayeduvo?
Yes.
Is it still with the company? What about Sandra Ametri?
No, she's no longer with the company.
She's no more.
Yes.
What about Sandra Abiu?
She's no longer with the company.
Ezekiel Mensah?
I've told you he's no longer with the company. He's now working with
Clement DePaul?
He is no longer with the company.
Have they all left the company? Why? What was the reason why they left the company?
Well, there were labor issues. And I see.
They resigned?
No.
Or they were sacked?
That's why I said there were labor issues.
Labor issue as in?
Labor issues as in having appointments terminated on the instruction of the board.
So you terminated your appointment?
I didn't.
Who did?
The board of directors instructed management after a series of issues on 30th December 2020 for the termination of the appointment, and all the correspondence is there. So the issue was taken to the ICU, Industrial Commercial Workers Union, who wrote to management, approached management. And when they approached us that a board was not in place in 2021. So we'd have to wait for a board to be able to resolve issues. And so immediately we gave the response. Then the matter was tabled before the National Labour Commission. And the Labour Commission took hold of the matter, called the two parties, that's GCMC and the staff, that is our former staff, and adjudicated over the issues, or went into the issues thoroughly for a period of for almost 2 years. Yes, adjudicated over the issues, and finally took it to arbitration after there was no ad idem of the parties. So the matter is before
arbitration.
An arbitrator.
No.
The Labour Commission has referred it to a sole arbitrator. Because we were made to choose an arbitrator. They were made to choose an arbitrator. But the Labour Commission decided it will not use anybody's arbitrator. And thereby it appointed its sole arbitrator. And the parties have appeared before the arbitrator. In fact, our lawyer represented the company with the head of finance and admin. They were also represented by the ICU. And so the matter has gone before the arbitrator.
Okay.
The arbitrator has finalized. So we are all waiting for the arbitral award.
Okay. Let's move on to this matter.
When was the board formed? 2018.
Yes.
And the termination.
The second board.
So which of the boards terminated the appointment?
The second board.
And which was in 2018?
Yes.
And the termination?
No, the termination was not in 2018.
When?
It was 2020. Yes.
Okay. Do you know one Ansu?
Ansu, we've just gone through.
Yes, I want clarification.
Yes.
Was it part of the 10 key projects?
Ansu was not a 10 key projects. That was Africano Electoral.
So from which source was the money paid? About 8 million Ghana cedis.
Ansu, we've told the committee that we have not paid Ansu. We paid him 3 million.
From which source?
The source was from the Ministry of Energy.
Ministry of Energy?
Yes, through the LPG Compensation Fund.
Okay. And it is accepted?
Yes.
Ranking member will take paragraph 862 to 874.
Thank you. Paragraph 862. Unavailability of store records, store ledgers, and goods received notes and other things. The auditors found out that there were no store records. In other words, there were no documents to cover what you are receiving into the store, what you are taking out of the store, and other things. And so they observed that we could not reconcile production and sales records to the goods issued and received into stores over the period. My question is, if that is the case, but what was it? Why didn't we have store records? Didn't you have a storekeeper?
Mr. Chairman, there was a storekeeper in place. But if you note from the statutes, the store ledgers, SRVs, SRAs are fully in place from 2017. We ensure that even before the auditors came in, it was unusual. So that had been corrected even before the auditors came in.
So you now have a storekeeper who actually issue all the records.
I came to meet a storekeeper, and I believe that we came to meet a storekeeper who was about 8 months old.
8 months old in the work?
Yes. As at May 2017. And upon inquiring as to why these issues, because there was some spot audits. I wouldn't call it audit per se, but I'm saying stock movement and so on. But at the end of the day, Mr. Chairman, from 2017, we ensured that these things were in place, even before the audits, the first audit in 2018.
Can the auditors confirm now that the proper stock records are being kept and they're being used?
Honorable Chair, yes, the records, proper store records are being kept, but the auditors raised, or the team raised the observation, and I don't think the institution provided the store records before they raised the observation. Other than that, if they had seen it, I don't think they...
No, I mean, that case is already established. They didn't have the records in 2015 and 2016. And she's assuring us that they now have records, and records, and you are confirming that that is the case now. Is that not the case? That's what I want to know.
Honorable Chair, yes, they have it.
Okay, let me move on to the next one. Failure to conduct annual stock taking. This one is a serious one. Chief Executive, the auditors observed that if you go to paragraph 870, We noted, however, that management of the company did not ensure that this assignment was carried out during the close of the December 2015, 2016, and 2017. In other words, during this period, there was no final stock taking. There were no interim stock taking. So my question is, so how were you able to prepare your accounts?
Honorable Chair, I would like to thank you. I will not take the committee back, but all I can say is the proper systems were not in place. And in 2017, we made the effort to put them in place because we realized that 10 containers of cylinders, about how many? Yes, we could not be accounted for. I personally had to go around with a team. And then we also got an interim audit, not from the auditor.
How were you able to prepare your accounts for 2015 and 2016?
That's why we went back to the previous paragraph, where from 2017, the store records, I can't talk for 2015-16, but from 2017, the store ledger SRVs are fully in place from 2017, and this was verified. Store records from 2017 were verified. No further action required. But for 2015 and 2016, I cannot speak for those years, but from 2017 to date, that one, we had the records in place in order to prepare our accounts.
Madam, you're not listening to the questions, unfortunately. The auditors are saying that there was no final stock taking as at December 2015, 2016, and 2017, when you were in charge. There was no final stock taking. My question is, if you don't take stocks finally, if you look at your financial statements, we have 2016. We have 2016. We have 2017. And in your current assets, I believe there are stocks. So how did you get the figures? This is for the accountant.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. So please, we had stock values in the system, in the accounting system we were using. Just that there was supposed to be a physical count of those stock to confirm the balances in the system. But that unfortunately wasn't done in those periods. But the balances were there for the operation of the account from the accounting system. No, please.
So you were not there?
No, please.
2017 you were not there?
No, please.
So, you see, obviously, this account that you present here is false.
Mr. Chairman.
It's false. It's not correct.
Mr. Chairman, if I may come in here, with your permission, the tally, we've gone over the tally from the Auditor General's Department. So all these stocks in the system were able to be reconciled. And if we look at the management...
You have tallies from the Auditor General's Department?
Yes.
What is that? What is that?
It was in your absence that...
What is tally from Auditor General's Department?
It is a system... Philip, explain. It's a system in the... Explain. Explain what the tally system is.
It's a software.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. So, Honorable Chair, I must say that we use the tally accounting system, which we use in taking care of our stock. So the stock values, even though were not counted, as I already said, were in the tally accounting system, and they were confirmed in subsequent counts in 2018, which we even did together with the...
If you have a situation where auditors have observed that you don't keep store records, you don't record what comes in, you don't record what goes out, your tally cards are not updated. If you have such a situation, and you also don't take physical stock, how can you rely on the accounts that you produce? Because you see, maybe if you are taking physical stock, in spite of all these failures, then you could say that, well, we took physical stock and we value it and we use that for our end of year accounts. You don't do any of those things. So I'm putting it to you that these accounts, auditor, can we rely on these accounts?
Honorable Chair, yes, we can rely on it because we have given our opinion on it. Our audit team went through it, and I think, like the accountant said, just to confirm the system information with the physical account was not there. Thank you.
Madam, I don't want to contradict you, but you know that even with the best systems that are being operated, physical account is a necessity. Especially for final account, it's a necessity. It is not an option. So if they don't do it, and you say you can rely on it, I disagree with you. Thank you, Chairman.
Let me find out from Mr. Doku. These private companies that you contract to do the audit, as part of the terms of reference, do you ask them to express their opinion on the accounts? Because I've not seen one. Because these are companies. So if they are auditing, and they have to express their opinion for the shareholders. In this case, government of Ghana is a shareholder. So, do you usually include expression of opinion as part of their terms of reference?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to say that we follow industry practice as it's done everywhere. So, as part of the engagement, they are told explicitly what to do, and it includes expression of opinion on the financial statements that they audit. In this particular instance, it was conducted by staff from the audit service, and they did same. Thank you.
But I'm looking at the financial statement, the P&L accounts, and then the financial position, and then the narrative after the statements on page 157. I did not see the Auditor General expressing opinion on this account. Because if you want to take the management issues into consideration, I'm definitely believe that this account would have been qualified. You see? So that's one thing we should take note of.
Thank you, Chairman.
Because these are entities with a mind of making profits. So, we will express opinion on this, and then that will tell us whether the entity it's something that government should continue to invest in and then make profits. Anyway, let's move on to the last. Yes.
In the annual report to the audited entities, we issue opinion on the financial statement. So we would consider this other dimension you have brought in. Thank you very much for the observation.
Let's go to the last leg of the issues, starting from paragraph 875. Recruitment without scheme of service. Recruitment without scheme of service. Article 5.1 of the Condition of Service of Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company states, and I quote, "There shall be an approved scheme of service covering the entire employee of the organization, which shall include A, title of each post with grade, B, qualifications and methods for entry, C, scheme of duties assigned to each post. D, salary scales assigned to each grade or post. And E, method of progression. Now, the above, notwithstanding, the payroll audits disclose that the company over the years made several appointments in respect of permanent contracts and cash staff appointment without recourse to any prescribed method, law, or approved scheme of service. The auditors attributed these lapses to the successive chief executives, officers, and their board of directors' inability to ensure that a living scheme of service for the company. The absence of scheme of service could lead to improper placements, job description, and method of progression. In order to engage the right caliber of staff, the auditors urge management and the board of directors to ensure that scheme of service is prepared and approved as soon as possible. Management accepted the recommendations. Management, my CEO, have you now put in place scheme of service?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
As recommended by the...
Yes, Honorable Chair, we have put in the scheme of service with the background, the purpose of the scheme of service, which includes the grades of officer appointed into a class, qualification and experience required for direct entry into various grades, in-service progression of the staff, training and career development, core competencies required for each grade. And then we have the non-promotional class, which is myself, finance and administration class. We have the, that has a whole lot, head of finance and administration, under the objectives, accounts manager, senior accounts officer, assistant account officer.
Let me find out from auditors if they have cited this scheme of service. Auditors.
Honorable Chair, yes, the scheme of service is now available. Thank you.
All right, let's move to the next one. Yes, Honorable Mr. Doku.
Thank you for addressing me as an honorable. Information for you on page 11 of the report, the audit opinion we are talking about. It is page 11 of the document. So in paragraph 26, yes, audit opinion. It is there. No, it's not. The Auditor General says in his opinion all the financial statements presented are true and fair. In paragraph 26-27. From.
Yeah, I've seen it. Audit opinion. Most of the financial statements submitted for validation were prepared under generally accepted accounting principles. My office was satisfied in all material aspects that the audited financial statement present fairly financial information in accordance with applicable statutory provisions, stated accounting principles of the government, and is in accordance with generally accepted accounting standard and essentially consistent with that of the preceding year. 27. In my opinion, all the financial statements presented a true and fair view of the financial position of and financial performance of the organizations as at 31st December 2018. Well, it's subjective because you cannot put all of them.
Chairman, I have a problem.
Yes.
Chairman, I have a problem with even the way they wrote their opinion. First of all, it said most of the financial statement, which means some of them were not good. And then in paragraph 27, it says all. So I don't know, how do you reconcile most and all? So we should look at it again next time when you are writing this thing.
Noted, Chairman. Thank you.
So if it is done on entity by entity, you can come to a conclusion that some of them of the account will be qualified. This account, definitely, if I'm the one auditing, I'll qualify this account. I'll qualify it. Now, the next one is paragraph 881, arbitrary salary increments without approval. Yeah. So, the auditors are saying that contrary to the provisions of Article 16.1 of the Condition of Service for the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, the payroll audit of the company revealed that the Chief Executive Officer of the company, soon after assumption of office, arbitrarily increased the salaries and wages of the workers by 30% to 50%. She again increased the number of staff from 36 to 59. The auditors further noted that the salaries were increased without approval from the governing board or reference to any approved salary structure. The auditors attributed these lapses to non-compliance with the provisions contained in the company's condition of service. The lapse has resulted in an astronomical increase in the wage of the company from 44,531 Ghana cedis 81 pesos in June 2017 to 112,404 Ghana cedis 78 pesos as of December 2017. The increases in salaries and staff had, however, not impacted on production and sales. This is because there has been a long-standing shortage of the supply of 12.5 kg and 14.5 kg cylinders, which are the major line of production and sales of the company. The situation, if not checked, could consequently affect the profitability of the company. We recommend that management should develop a scheme of service and ensure appropriate approval of a salary structure before implementation. We further urge management to seek approval from the governing board for all subsequent salary increments and appointment. Meanwhile, management should seek retrospective approval from the board to rectify the anomaly. Management accepted our recommendation. Madam, it looks like the absence of the board has given you the power, the sole power to do anything. Don't you think so?
No, Mr. Chairman.
But everything was being done because the board wasn't there, alone by you. You've done everything because the board wasn't there. You were doing everything.
Mr. Chairman, in the case of the staff recruitments, these were not external recruitments per se. There were people who had been working, graduates, for 8 years in contravention of the labor law. They were still not even contract staff. Some people were temporal, and there was the other one, casual, temporal, contract staff for 8 years. I take full responsibility. A committee was set up. I agreed to the infraction. I took full responsibility. But when I took office, I was approached. I won't say too much about it. But 8 years, 7 years, 6 years, the people were working, and even some social security was not there because the person is a temporary staff or something. I won't belabor or waste the time of this eminent committee. But then I was properly schooled that in cases like this, you'd only have to be patient and wait for the right approving authority. So when the board came into being, actually there was a first board who came in, but the second board came in after the audit and gave the retrospective approval. I'm not saying that gives me the power or leeway to do, because subsequently everything has been done in conformity with memos to the board seeking the right approvals right at all levels to the top. And so the salary increase, Mr. Chairman, I would also say that we accepted as management, because as you've indicated, I'm the one on whose shoulders the whole problem rests. So I accepted fully, and we've moved ahead since then. And it will be interesting to note that the board in approving put a cap on salaries, which is 5 years now. There's been no salary increments up to date, and it hasn't happened again. So the recruitment increase you saw was really, what do you call it, regularizing the status of those who had worked for a long time without any, I don't know how to put it. Yeah.
But the law doesn't allow you to do it without the proper process.
Mr. Chairman, I agree. But if people have worked 8 years, I'm not.
They've been there for 8 years.
Oh, if I'd known,
What would
I would
have
have left them.
prevented you, or what would have happened if you wait for 6 months for the board to come into place for you to do it?
Mr. Chairman, these were people I didn't appoint. I didn't know them.
I'm not saying you appointed them, because I know they were there before you went there. So if they've been there for 8 years before you went, definitely you didn't appoint them in the first place. But I'm saying that if they could work in that company as casual or temporary staff for 8 years, what would have happened if you wait for 6 months for the board to come on board before you regularize them? That's the point.
Mr. Chairman, on hindsight, I should have waited.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if you can follow me to paragraph 882. 882. Contrary to the provision above, that is the regulation 16.1, our payroll audit of the company revealed that the chief executive, that is your good self, of the company soon after assumption of office arbitrarily increased the salary and wages of workers, some from 30% to 50%. Did you increase your salary too?
I was not on salary until sorry. Honorable Chairman, I did not receive any salary until the board of directors was constituted and until they considered and approved my nomination and subsequent appointment by the Ministry of Energy. So I was not part of the pay regime at all, and the records can prove it.
So when your salary was determined by the board, right? Did the adjustment you made, the 30 to 50%, did it affect it, and did they pay you the arrears?
I was not on a salary, and I didn't have any adjustments, and I didn't have any arrears. My terms of reference when I was coming into office was to take over as chief executive of Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company. The ministry did not put in anything. It was the board who came to.
Who is being referred to? Auditors? Because what you have. Okay.
No, it is the
auditors are not saying that you increase your salary. They didn't say that.
Yeah.
Okay. But they said you increase the salary of workers from 30% to 50%. Is it true?
Sorry. Mr. Chairman,
that is all we
and
want
I've
to
said
establish.
on hindsight.
That's what we want to establish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now, the auditors are saying that you should seek approval from the governing board. Have you done that?
Mr. Chairman, that had been duly done and submitted to them.
Which of the boards?
That was the second board.
What happened to the first board?
Mr. Chairman, the first board, the whole of 2018, I think after March, there were issues.
Issues such as?
There were issues. I think you asked me that when I appeared here in 2018.
Remind me.
Between management and the board. Yes.
Management, you and so they left or they've been sacked?
Well, I wouldn't know because I wasn't the appointing authority. All I know is that the board was dissolved.
Is that the one that you said you can't work with the chairman?
Mr. Chairman, did I indicate it?
I'm only asking if it's not
a rumor, but there was an investigation by the Intraqua committee.
So did you feel comfortable working with the chairman of the first board?
Mr. Chairman, I felt comfortable working with all my boards, except when the unimaginable or the unbelievable or the unfathomable happens. No guidance, no asking.
What about unpredictable?
Of course, when the unpredictability happens, Mr. Chairman, so I don't have any authority over any board. I've been very subservient, and I believe, as I've always told you, that I've worked very hard to bring the company to its current position. And I would invite Parliament to really come on a working visit and engage the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, as well as there's a committee which looks after SOEs. And I believe we've had very fruitful deliberations, recommendations, advice for the parliamentary committees, which have actually helped us to move this far. And we'll continue to accept all recommendations and actions by this good committee.
All right, let me move to the last one, the last of last. Paragraph 890. Improper keeping and maintenance of records, all the value books sequentially and chronologically. There were no proper records of requisitions, issues, receipts, and signature of recipients of value books. Value books were being kept as stores instead of the head of the accounts department keeping them under lock and key. The auditors attributed these lapses to the inability of successive chief executives officers and their accountant to ensure that records of value books are kept to ensure effective control of value books. As a result, the auditor could not ascertain the actual number of value books printed, how many have been issued, in order to determine the actual stock. Auditors have recommended that the CEO of the company should, as a matter of urgency, ensure that the value books in stock are recorded in stock register. The accountant should also control the value books effectively by ensuring that the books are issued out through appropriate requisitions. The CEO should also conduct an immediate audit of the value books to ascertain the stock balances and take custody of same. Management accepted recommendations. Have you complied with the recommendations of the auditors?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has been complied with. As at 3rd September 2018.
Auditors, can you confirm that?
Honorable Chair, yes, they have the value books and then we verify them.
Okay, but as you said, auditors, as you said, you could not ascertain the actual number of value books that they have printed. What quantities have been issued, and so there was no proper accounting for the value books. So there is high possibility of revenue report for Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company. There are, however, flag issues which the clerk will indicate in the draft report. We'll take a decision on them. On that note, you hear from the committee through the report that will be issued to the plenary for adoption. We want to thank you for coming. You are discharged.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable members, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the day's sitting to consider the report of the Auditor General for 2018. I want to thank you all for availing yourselves for us to consider this report. In fact, the work of this committee is very important. If you know, I just returned from South Africa, where I attended the planning committee of AfroPac. The AfroPac is the African Organization of Public Accounts Committees. We are planning to have our general meeting in Liberia somewhere in November. So, and I've told them that I want to bring as many of you as possible to go so that you know what we do. AfroPac is the, as I said, African Organization of Public Accounts. We share experiences among our countries. And we also have another organization which is limited to West Africa, which is a WAPAC, West Africa Public Accounts Committees. There's also planning to have a general meeting in the last week of May. If that is also concluded, I'll let you know. So this is our work. Ghana is always regarded as standards, and they always want to learn from us. So I want to thank you for making this committee that's strong. So the public should know that public accounts committees in West Africa, in Africa in general, are working towards to ensure that there's value for money that will benefit the citizens. Now, colleagues, as you are aware, you can see from our chat room, if I say chat room, you know what I refer to, our platform, that the committees sitting in the regions will start from we'll be reporting in the northern region on the 18th. We'll start work on the 19th of this month. We are considering 4 reports. The report of the Auditor General for polytechnics and technical universities, then also report for, it's such a long time. And then the report for the Auditor General for pre-tertiary educational institutions, that's the secondary schools. Also report for the Auditor General for District Assembly Common Fund. And the last one, the report for the IGF. These 4 reports we considered once we go to the regions. So make yourself available. We are looking at 2018, so that would have completed the 2018 set of audit report. Then when we come back, and thereabout in June, July, we'll start with the 2019. So make yourself available. Don't give excuses all the time, because we want to work and work and work well. So I want to thank you very much for making yourself available, and I believe strongly you will take part in the other one that is coming on from 18th of this month. The committee sitting is hereby adjourned sine die.